Good morning, everybody. My name is Aditi. I come with about 12 years of experience in the field of learning and development. I've worked in L&D across various companies, across different MNCs over the past years. Um, I've worked with Infosys, ESPN, each from a different industry, Boston Consulting, and Snapdeal. Currently, I work as an independent behavioral facilitator and coach. Primarily, my work involves creating mind shifts for people which help them achieve what they set out to achieve, okay, or which help them be better at the job that they are doing. Okay, very happy to be here on this expert chat with Jobs for Her, and I'm looking forward to a lot of questions from your end on the topic of career clarity and changing your career midstream. Okay. Now, a bit of a background to this topic. Uh, there was a big event that happened in my life a couple of years back, which was the birth of my daughter. And with that was born the mother and the career woman. And that's the time when I did my first career clarity exercise on my own. And obviously, coaching is something that I had picked up during that time. So I also got coached. So that really helped. Um, and I was able to pinpoint what are the different aspects that I would like in my work and how should I be building myself towards those. Okay, and at the end of it, here I am as an independent consultant and coach working with various firms in the area of L&D. I currently even write across various platforms. That was a passion that I wanted to bring to life. And I'm a certified yoga teacher as well. These aspects, especially the last two, and a pincer clarity on the first aspect, wasn't there earlier in my career. As I was going ahead from one job to the other or from one level to the other automatically. Okay. So I kind of opened my eyes with that event, and a lot of times this happens with people who take a break or who reach a point in their career where they are looking for more fulfillment or a different kind of purpose that they want to take up as a challenge for themselves. So it's very important to do this exercise for yourself. Let's look at the questions that we have, and let's proceed from there. Okay. So I have a question here. It's very interesting. The person says that, hi, I am Akshata. I am an IT professional with 4 years of work experience, and I've been on a break since 9 years. Wow, that's awesome. I am a blogger and I've undergone training in copywriting course. How do I know if writing is my calling? And what other reskilling can I do that can help me bag my first freelance assignment? Now, firstly, congratulations, Akshata, that you are thinking about and you are clear about getting back to work. So the first point, the starting point is already decided. Now, after 9 years of a break, what has happened is that you've started writing, which was one of your passions, and I'm hoping that's one of your passions, and you've done a bit of upskilling in that area too. Now, if you all know the concept of ikigai, it's about checking 4 different aspects and finding the sweet spot which has all these 4 in it, and that would be the decision for you. You would need to do something that covers all the 4. Okay, the very first aspect is that you should love what you do. Okay, so I'm assuming you write because you love to write and not because that was something that you could easily do and you just happen to start doing it, right? So if you're consciously doing it because you're passionate about it, then one box for you is checked. Okay, that you are passionate about that work and you love to do it. You enjoy writing. Okay, the second is the mission. Is it solving any problem for a larger group of people? Okay, this forms the mission. There has to be an overlap between the two. Okay, if you're doing something which isn't exactly solving anybody's problem, then we cannot proceed further with that job. Okay, I'll take the example of somebody who was say a big shot in the corporate, and maybe had a burnout or maybe had some realization and just decided to become a corporate dropout and start teaching yoga. Okay, now the first box of passion is checked for that person because he or she loves to engage doing yoga and teaching yoga. The second box, the mission, is also sorted, right? Because the person is solving a purpose: good health, better balance and harmony, um, more happiness for the person who's engaging in it. So the mission is also sorted. The third aspect is called vocation. Okay, so this basically means that you should be able to get paid for it. Now, there are a lot of people teaching yoga but not taking a penny or not earning much out of it. You should get paid for it. You should know how much you should be charging. You should know how that charge or how that payment can increase over time. What is the time lag in that particular job or role for you to get from level A to level B to level C? So this is where your business plan or your financial planning comes into play. It's very, very important and critical aspect of choosing what you want to do, right? It should be a vocation. It should not be just a hobby. That is the differentiation between the two. So if your passion, mission and vocation is sorted, the final step is professionalism. Now, are you professionally qualified? Yes, you say you've done a course. Great. But is that viable in the market? Is that very much in demand in the market? Is that something that is the most in demand? Right? So you have to answer these questions for yourself. If you're able to tick all the four boxes, then you can proceed ahead. And in today's times, the gig economy has really picked up, right? So you can find opportunities for yourself to start with small projects that your current qualification and your current experience allow you to take up, right? So you can also volunteer, you can also shadow a mentor. All of these are the steps that you can take before you decide to get back or before you think of getting back into the job in that area, right? So, but yes, this exercise of figuring out your ikigai is extremely important as the first step. Now, there are two more things that you need to think of. One is, what's the time horizon that you're giving yourself? Okay, because currently, if 9 years have passed by, and at this stage you are thinking of still evaluating whether that's something that you like to do or not, then you need to first fix an end time for yourself. Otherwise, the 9 years could as well repeat ahead, right? And you may still be sitting with the same question. So it's extremely important to get your hands dirty, which you've already done. Get attached to a group. Get attached to some volunteering opportunities, some short projects, little more upskilling. Speak to people in that field, right? All of these, maybe pick up some more certifications, do some work in that area. Figure out the timeline for yourself, right? And work as per that. Set little milestones for yourself. All of these things are easy to do if you have a coach or a mentor guiding you. So nobody can do all of this alone. It's extremely important to have somebody else watching you through the change that you're trying to make. Really, really speeds up the process for you, right? Which is where people like me come in, or say JobsForHer comes in, right? To hold the hand of those who are making a change in their life or making progress in their life, to be part of their growth journeys, right? And for somebody who is currently already in a job and evaluating a change, that's the kind of question that I would be looking at, frankly, because that's an interesting one to answer. So let's look at the other questions that we have. Let me see. I am Anusha. I am a BCom grad with 6 years of experience in international customer support and 2 years of experience in recruitment. So she's done two different roles. I took a sabbatical 2 years back and I'm looking at restarting, but I'm unable to find a suitable opportunity. What do you have any suggestions on what to do next, or should I study anything new to bounce back on track? Okay, now here as well, I see diverse experience of in two different fields, and again, there is a choice to be made as to what is the area that you want to brand yourself for, right? So if your branding is clear, then the person hiring you is also clearer about picking you. So, a lot of times when we get back after a break and we are lucky enough to land an interview or lucky enough to speak to somebody who's in the field that we would want to get in, if we ourselves are not sure of what we stand for, if we are trying to, uh, you know, be swim in both the boats and position ourselves for two different and diverse job roles, then it could become a challenge in terms of the other person identifying us for that role. So it's very important to pick one and stick with that for a certain period of time at least, and see the response you have from your interviewers. The second step here I see, and similar to the previous question, is that in both cases there has been a break. Now, during the break, what is it that you have done to upskill yourself? That will also make your positioning clearer, right? It will also help you justify the break that you've taken. And if, say, you haven't done that, there is no harm in starting right now, right? So there are a lot of courses, a lot of self-study material available on MOOCs. Like, you have Coursera, you have Udemy. Amazing courses are available there for you to do. And not just that, there are a whole lot of work opportunities, like I said, in the gig economy that are available. You go to, Upwork, you go to Flexing It, there is Noble House, there is JobsForHer, right? And there are many, many, many avenues for an individual to start getting back in the game, right? And the third aspect I would say is really, so for, I mean, apart from your identity, apart from knowing what you want to do and doing your SWOT analysis, you're finding your ikigai. Second step would be, starting to get your hands dirty with the uh, flexible options that you have of work, starting to volunteer, starting to do some work in that area. The most important and third aspect is getting your confidence back, right? You may be positioning yourself, you may have all the skills, but if that confidence is not there in you, that I can, do this, that I can again start working. This is very important after a break, which is where a lot of returnee programs really help individuals stream back into work. And it's an amazing time right now that since women are the ones who end up taking a lot more breaks, companies are rising up to this, and they are really engaging with firms like JobsForHer and trying to get women back into the workforce. So they identify specifically the roles which can provide flexibility to their employees, and they look for profiles, or maybe even mid to senior profiles, where the lady can work flexibly and still provide give the impact that's required in the role. So it's very important that role identification and profile identification is happening very consciously at the corporate side. So individuals like Anusha and Akshata can use this to really bounce back into the workforce, right? Let's look at another question if we have. Okay. So we have Sita asking us, I want to restart my career in digital marketing after my break. How to restart it? How do we get any internship or openings. Okay. Now, so Sita, there is very minimal information in the question in terms of how long have you worked, how long was your break, because these are very critical factors into identifying your next step. Assuming that you have worked for 4-5 years and have taken a break of say 2-3 years, I would understand you would be at a middle level position, mid and wanting to get into the senior positions. Now, at that stage, it becomes very important. And the opportunities might seem many, but really they aren't. Because people look at a person at that level, at that profile, as a specialist, right? Because you have worked in that field for a few years, and digital marketing is what your area is, which is pretty much in demand. So there are a lot of takers for this, right? So if you're sure, and which it seems from your question that this is what you want to do, you have to tap onto your network. Okay, you have taken a break. And during that time, if you have happened to stay connected, that would be a boon. And which is what we advise. I mean, I work with individuals and groups where we actually start engaging with women who are going to take a break, during their pregnancy, actually, when they are still working and they're about to take their break. That is the right time to really sit and ask these questions to yourself as to how I'm going to use this break, apart from obviously being extremely busy with the new responsibilities that I have. What are the steps that how am I going to be thinking about my career? How am I going to be taking the next step? When is it that I plan to return back? Do I plan to take a longish sabbatical with the same company and return back there itself, or do I want to bounce back faster? And what is the road going to be for me? Will it be sustainable for me? How do I leverage my ecosystem? If I want to say get specialized, then what are the courses that I need to do? Digital marketing has various courses. I know of a few from Simply Learn, and there are quite a few online, again from the MOOCs that I mentioned, that you can pick up. But most important is the network, because the network will guide you. Find a mentor, find somebody who you think is extremely successful in that field. You may not know that person, but research and find. We are lucky to have Google at our fingertips. So research, find, and they say that there's a term for this, I'm forgetting, but online, professionally, you try to connect with that person. There is LinkedIn at your disposal, right? And various networking groups. Get onto a digital marketing networking group. See what's happening in the field. What are different people doing in the field? And since you are coming back after a break, instead of being on the back foot, you take the initiative, proactive initiative, to say that I'm ready to volunteer on a project. The salary part and the payment part will come, but you will have to take these steps to jump back, to get well-oiled all over again. So there is, again, no undermining the importance of a coach, a mentor, a network group, and really, really researching and following another person's progress and seeing what they are doing in their field that you want to be making your career back again in, right? Geeta Rastogi asks, what if one wants to change the field? I have worked for 5 years in banking, a short stint in corporate communication, but after a sabbatical of 5 years, I wish to make my career in HR. Very nice. Very nice. So, so you worked in 2 different fields, communications and banking, and now you want to switch over to HR. And it's very important to understand why you are switching. A lot of times, and you are at a mid career level currently, right? So obviously there are a few already understandable reasons that you could want to switch. One is you don't find the meaning in the job that you were doing earlier, and you find more meaning and purpose in the job that you are planning to do now. Okay. Second could be that you have somewhere figured out that banking was not my cup of tea, and I would prefer working with HR on topics of HR, and you know that kind of works better with you. Okay. Um, the third aspect could be that you feel after the break, and I'm not speaking for you. I'm just giving examples that after your break, you are no longer ready to do the same work that you were doing earlier, or you are redundant in that particular role, and you want to repackage and rebrand yourself into a completely new, fresh Geeta Rastogi, right? So if that's what you want to do, then also you could be wanting to look for a change. Another could be that you've lost your motivation for that particular kind of work, and you feel and that doesn't that's not the kind of work that makes you happy. So again, HR sorts your ikigai better than a banking job. Okay, so it's very important to be clear about that change. A lot of times we are just following other people who have made switch from business roles to HR roles and vice versa, right? So I have a lot of people in my field who were sales professionals earlier and end up becoming sales trainers. That's like a switch from business to HR, literally, and that happens the other way around as well, right? A lot of people who worked in HR figure out that's not my cup of tea, and I want to be into the business side of it, right? Um, so it's very important to understand why you're looking for the change in the first place. If you're looking for a change for the purpose of it being easier, forget about it, because no change is easy. Okay, it takes a lot of upskilling, a lot of networking, a lot of clarity, a lot of work on yourself uh, to repackage and brand yourself, and it can be done. The good part is that it can be done, right? If you have the right mentors and the right network to guide you consistently through your process, right? And like I was mentioning earlier, in this case as well, you would need to answer those questions. Is HR my passion? Is HR solving a mission in the kind of work that I'm looking at? Okay, because HR itself has various fields within it, so you need to know which particular field is the mission that I want to pick, right? Is it people development that I want to pick? In that case, you are sorting out the two boxes, clearing out two boxes. Third is, am I going to get paid for it? Obviously, you do get paid for it. And professional part, which would be something that you would need to do in terms of upskilling. So there are a lot of executive MBAs available. There are a lot of short HR courses in India and abroad, online and offline, that you can do. But again, I would say very important to patch on to a mentor and work with them. Nowadays, even LinkedIn has the career advice option. So you can career advisor option. So you can figure out who are the people that who are doing the kind of work that you would want to do X number of years down the line. Start engaging with them today, and I'm sure there a lot of them would have the option of giving career advice. So you can obviously have FaceTime with them, and they could help you through your journey, right? There is something else which I would like to talk about right now. In the interest of time, I mean, we've already covered 25 minutes, and we just have about the last 10 minutes here. Uh, at the time when people are choosing their careers, you know, I'll talk about myself. So, in college, I picked up maths honors, and the reason it's very laughable, at the same time very smart reason now. The reason was that I was good at math, and I thought it was damn scoring, and I just picked it up. But what am I doing currently is completely the other side of it. It's related to psychology, people, and not numbers or theorems, right? But do I apply it? Obviously, in some way, logic is something that comes from there. Uh, Maybe I apply that. But is there a direct link? No. So earlier on, I mean, maybe in a few years back, we were not exactly extremely clear about it. And I knew that after maths, I will do an MBA. And slow steps have made me reach here. And during my MBA, I picked up HR. So slowly it started getting defined. When I got a job in hiring, I figured that the best part that I like about this role is when people come on board and we have to upskill them to get back into the work, to start work. So from campus to corporate. That's how my training journey started. That's when I realized professionally I need to reskill myself in L&D. Picked up the NLP certification. Slowly moved into L&D. And that's how the journey continues, and it continues. Learning never stops. Learning has to go on and on, right? And networking has to go alongside it. And actual working also has to happen for you to really transform into the role that you want to do. And it's challenging. You have to take a few calls. At the stage that I am, I would not do a particular kind of role, even if it falls in my lap. Would be very clear about the kind of work that I want to do, right? So earlier on, even though there was no particular way, through the journey we would find our, calling, and everybody ends up being in what they want to be. Okay, but if this process is done more scientifically, there are a lot of tests that one can do at the stage of college and early career to really understand what is your forte, to basically answer the first question of ikigai. If you're stuck at what your passion is itself, then it's very good to do something like a Holland occupation code test. So there was this gentleman called John Holland. He's an American psychologist. In 1990, he came up with the RIASEC inventory. Okay, so there are basically 4 aspects based on which you get 6 different kinds of likings, or 6 different kinds of personalities. And then it's easier to understand once you know what kind of personality or what kind of a mix you are. It's easier for you to know for sure, okay, these are the fields that would work for me, right? And then start exploring those and figure out, right? If that is diametrically different to your job, then then you need to really work hard at the change. But if it is something close to what you're already doing, it helps you get into the niche in your field, right? So the 4 aspects are basically people who like to work with things, ideas, data, or people who like to basically work with people. Yeah. So people, ideas, data, and things. And this gives us 6 kind of personalities. You could be a realist, a doer, who, if I were to give an example, is like a doctor or an engineer who likes to work with things, right? You could be an investigator, somebody who likes to ideate. Could be a consultant, could be a strategizer, a leader. Then comes the artist, the creator, people who like to build new things. Could be designers, could be researchers, could be people in the creative arts. Okay, those who innovators would fall in here as well, right? Then comes the social, which are people who like to do something which engages with others, with people directly, who like a high contact or high connect in their work. And then are the entrepreneurial folks, the enterprising guys. Okay, these could be people who are into marketing, who are good at influencing and persuading. And finally are the conventional folks who like to be engaged in operations, who like to work with processes. So if you know which part of this resonates better with you, it helps for you to take the next step in your career. And then, stick with it for a long time, or possibly for life. Okay, there is a question that is different from what we've been discussing so far. One is, where do I find a career advice option in LinkedIn? I think, Hamida, you have to activate it for you to be able to ask for advice from others who have activated, mentors who have activated it. For example, if you go onto my LinkedIn profile, I have activated the career advice option. So people could reach out to me for career advice. Just check it out if you can. The second question that I can take right now in the time that we have is, hi, I'm Vaishnavi, have had a break of 4 years. Previously worked with an e-commerce company for 2.5 years. Upskill myself in RPA as of now. How do I write my resume? Of late, I realized corporate profile needs a hands-on project. How do I go about it? Okay, firstly, I do not know the full form of RPA. So don't use the short forms in your resume. That's one tip I can instantly give you. But more than that, it's a good idea to again get advice. Okay, even on LinkedIn and on your Udemy and Coursera, I think I've seen courses which talk about writing resumes. It itself is an art. And if you look at more experienced folks or people who are in recruitment or talent consultants who are benevolent enough to help you, just patch on to them and ask them for a few resume samples that they think work best for them as recruiters. So it's like if you're selling something to a customer, you have to know what the customer wants, right? Similarly, if you want to be picked by a recruiter, you need to know what a recruiter looks at and what a recruiter sees when they see your resume. Now, I may be using a resume for the last 5 years, the same resume, but over time, things are changing. Nowadays, there are video resumes, there are a lot of links. LinkedIn is becoming the main, way of getting connected and seeing another person's profile. Because LinkedIn has a whole world, professional world attached to that individual. For example, there are posts, there are videos, there are awards, laurels, there are references, everything all in one that a recruiter can see. So build your profile in that sense. Don't just look at the resume or that Word document as the end answer. And you may get that right through the various ways that I've told you. There are a lot of reading up that you can do on how to position things in your resume, what words to use, that can enhance your resume and so on. So do all that, but nothing will undermine your network and your networking capabilities. Just letting your resume be out there is one thing, but being out there yourself is another. So make it a point that you have a schedule as per which you are meeting people, you're engaging in groups, and you spoke something about bagging a project. I'm not too clear about what that means. Bagging a project is like getting a job, right? Or you, like I was saying, there are a lot of flexible options where you can get projects. Activate your network and start working with somebody who, it could be some friend or some close contact of yours who has certain work opportunities which relate to the kind of work you want to do. May not exactly be that, but start working in that. And then your mind will automatically start thinking as you meet more people. Okay. So it was lovely being here. And I think there are a few more questions on the group which I would answer there itself in the chat box. I would be very happy to connect with each and every one of you, whoever is watching this video, and hopefully there will be more such coming up on different topics. So please feel free to reach out on LinkedIn and connect, and all the best with your career changes and with returning back to work. Thank you.